Good morning, friends. Started reading the Bible when I was 35 years old. And I'd read these verses, 1 John 4:8, 1 John 4:16, God is love. And so there's a lot of talk in the Bible about love. And every deep, beautiful truth has a counterfeit. And the counterfeit of love is lust. Lust is the outward, physical, but love is the inward, the heart. When I started reading the Bible, I came across Genesis chapter 2, verse 24. A man's going to leave his mother, leave his father, cleave unto his wife, and these two shall become one flesh. That's a close relationship. And in John 17, Jesus is praying that they might be one even as we are one, the oneness of the relationship. And I have that with my wife, Darlene. It certainly includes the physical relationship, but it's the focus is on the spiritual, the emotional, the social. And if you have that, if you have your wife's heart, then you've got it. You've got the kind of relationship that Christ has with His church. Ephesians 5:25, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave Himself for it. Now, when I was in elementary school, I got an invitation to spend the night with a couple of young guys. They were twins. Went over to their house, and as the evening progressed, they pulled out a Playboy magazine. I'd never seen one. Opened up the fold-out, and again, it was all new to me. But it wasn't long after that I got a paper route, a little summer job, making some money. And I was delivering papers on the road that was behind my road where I live. And I noticed in one of the mailboxes it was a paper cover, and it was a Penthouse magazine. This guy was getting the Penthouse magazine mailed to his house every month. So I would take the magazine out and put the newspaper in. And I would take the magazine home and look at it. And so as time passed by, I got more deeply entrenched in this challenge with the eyes. Now, in the seventh commandment, it says, thou shalt not commit adultery. But there's a spiritual nature to every commandment. It's true. You shouldn't commit adultery. But in Matthew 5:28, it says, just to the man that looks upon a woman to lust after her has already committed adultery in his heart. He's broken the law in his heart. Now, the heart relationship is what you want to have with Christ and your husband or wife if you're married. And if you're addicted to pornography, you forfeit that relationship. And the Lord asked me to take that out of my life. Yeah, the alcohol, certainly without the alcohol being absent, how do you tackle the problem of the eyes? But that was a challenge that I was facing. The Lord asked me to give up the alcohol, and then asked me to change the way I view women. And in the society today, we call it pornography, where a woman is just an object. It's not anything to do with the spiritual nature, but it's just like the package. It's kind of advertising where you take a woman, take her clothes off, put it on the package, and it helps sell the product. And the Lord's not interested in selling products. He's interested in saving souls. And that was a challenge I faced. When I got out of elementary school, went into high school, and there the problem even got worse. People would bring magazines to school. We would talk about things. We would do things just deeper and deeper into the quicksand of pornography. And then I went into the Army from there. I remember my first experience going into a bar and seeing women dance on tables. And it was just deeper and deeper. And I was just desensitized to anything spiritually. And when I got out of the Army, I was morally bankrupt. I see it now. I couldn't see it back then. And so I got married, of course, my first wife, then divorced, and I married Darlene. And the problem, by the way, problems don't go away. If you don't address a problem, it just gets bigger. And the problem was getting bigger. It got to the point where it was difficult to look at a woman without having some sort of, wrong thought, wrong thinking. And so when I was 35 years old and started reading the Bible, I was reading about Genesis 2:24, these two shall become one flesh. And seeing, as I was reading in other places, it's a joining of hearts, two hearts joined together. That includes trust, that includes a sympathy, an empathy, a love, a relationship that is not based on the physical. And so I said, Lord, have mercy. This is a war I cannot win without you. Revelation 12:17, the dragon was wroth with the church, the woman, the church, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. And it is a battle when you try to free yourself from the snares of alcohol, pornography, these other things. And so what I did, I said, Lord, help me. Please help me. Give me a desire to change the way I see. Help me to see as you see, not as I see. Isaiah 55:8, my thoughts aren't your thoughts, my ways aren't your ways. I said, Lord, help my way to be your way. And so I began the battle. I didn't completely have the victory over the alcohol. I was striving, but I hadn't completely stopped drinking yet. And I was praying. I said, Lord, please help me. Help me to change the way I think. Because, I was reading, and beholding we're changed. 2 Corinthians 3:18. That whatever you look at shapes how you think. The input changes the output. Of course, how you think dictates your actions because you think it before you do it. And I knew in my marriage, this marriage that I wanted to have with my wife, I knew my heart, in her heart, something was missing, and the Lord would give it to us. But we had to make some changes because all the promises were conditional. And if a man and woman are going to become one flesh, there's some things that have to be taken out of that secret, sacred circle. The husband, the house band, secret, sacred circle. And there's no room for pornography in a circle like that. Because a woman knows, she knows intuitively, intrinsically, that when a man looks at a woman and lusts after her, that's not good for the marriage. That something ain't right when a man's doing that. And so I said, Lord, help me. And He did help me. After my thinking began to change. My desires began to change. And I could see it. The tangible, life, I could see the Lord was giving me a victory there. But what really made the turning point, what made the difference, I was going to do a wiring job. I was doing some wiring for a friend. And it was a couple, they were living together. Now, they weren't there when I went over to do the wiring job, but I was in the bedroom wiring in a service panel, putting in a couple of circuits. And as I was wiring, I looked over and I saw a stack of magazines. They were face down, but I could see by the sides, the spines. It said, Playboy, Penthouse, magazines, like that. And I got the desire to look. And of course, the thinking that comes along with it, is okay to look if you don't touch. That kind of thinking is not from heaven. And who will know? And what's it going to hurt? And all of these rationalizations and justifications were going through my mind. And I knew that God was helping me, and this was a make or break opportunity. And I began to sweat. I tell you, it was a physical battle. I was sweating. My heart was racing. And the magazines were calling to me. And the Lord was calling. He was calling to me also. And that was a battle it's one of the most difficult experiences I've ever passed through. It felt like a life and death struggle. And I'm happy to report, I finished up my work, put my tools back in my bag, and I left that place. And from that point forward, I never had that chained up desire, that snare, that almost unable to resist temptation to lust after a woman. And God delivered me, but not without a great struggle. And so that really started a relationship with my wife that has been deepening now for almost 43 years. But if that stumbling block had not been removed, the relationship can't prosper. When I got really serious about religion and I came into the church, I was in a little Bible class one time. And the teacher was a very nice man named Earl Qualls. And he was talking about his approach to preserving his eyes for the kingdom of God. He said when he would go into a Walmart, he'd kind of look at his shoelaces, he'd run in, get what he needed, and he'd run back out. And I thought at the time, that is crazy. What's wrong with this guy? My dear friends, today when I go into Walmart, I look up, get what I need, and I get out. The truth is that we have to guard our eyes, because what we put in shapes our mind, and that affects what comes out. And for a man to be faithful and true to his wife and vice versa, we've got to guard what we put into our eyes. I know that sounds old-fashioned. I know that sounds kind of unusual. It's not the norm in this world. My dear friends, this is the plan to keep the sacred circle, to keep it secret and sacred. Today, the generation that's coming up now, they have temptations and challenges that I didn't have. That smartphone, I don't have one handy, but you know what a smartphone looks like. That post-PC device, that smartphone, you can see anything and everything on that phone. And it doesn't take a genius to hit a few keys and to have unfolded to your mind all the profane images that a human is able to produce. And it's a challenge. And if you think about it, let me use myself as an example. You take me at 10 years old and you hand me an iPad or a smartphone, then you turn away and walk away and you say, look, you can see anything in the world on that thing. What do you think I'm going to do at 10 years old? A child does not have full control of their faculties. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Children are not fully, they don't have spiritual maturity. They're not ready for that kind of temptation. But today, it's rampant. You see children with these media devices, and what they're putting into their mind is shaping the society in which we live. If you've got a problem with your eyes, and by the way, this is not just for men, and it's for women also. There are a lot of women today addicted to pornography. If you're a man or a woman and you have that weakness, the addiction to pornography, the only answer that works is you just go into your closet, right? You say, Lord, have mercy and help me. My eyes are not right. Give me eyesight like yours. And He will begin to work in your life and put in your heart an enmity for those things that would separate you from Him. May the good Lord bless you today and keep you and give you a home that is that's when you come home to it. When you come home to your home, it's like you've just gone to heaven. God bless you, friends. You have a nice day.